Mortgage rates have gone cuckoo, cuckoo. Boy, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's another week. It's another episode with your one and only Kenny Simpson. And this is the brief. Let's jump into it. We're going to throw out these inventory numbers, and they're just not doing well. So let's take a look into them. 2676 is the new listing, all the listings for the week. New is 435, recently sold 426, and pending is 465. So inventory is not getting better. But what I wanted to do this week is I wanted to take just in San Diego. If you guys live elsewhere, you should do this too. If you don't have access to your local MLS, it's just ask an agent to pull this for you. But what I'm going to do real quick is just jive down the graphs on the chart. So kind of just sit there and stare at the chart for a minute, and I'm going to do a quick voice over on it for you guys. So in June of 2022 to 2023, let's look at the difference. New listings down 41%. Pending sales down 8.4%. Remember, that's from last year. It's worse. And last year was already low. Closed sales down 26.4%. Median sales price last year, $850. This year, $865. Average sales price last year, $1,097,664. This year, $1,113,246, up 1.4%. Number of closed sales volume already was almost 3 billion, 2.94, and then we're at 2.1. So we're off by just call it around 750 million, 800 million, something like that. Percentage of price of original received, it's a little bit down this year. Days on market, last year's 19, this year's 23. Affordability index, last year was 35, this year's 32, because remember, rates were still kind of high last year too. In June, homes for sale, 4908, this year, 3620. That's for the whole month of June. Month supply, 1.7, this year is 1.8. It's just a really, really good reflection to see what's going on out there with the difference of last year and this year. And remember, last year's data was terrible. It wasn't even good. And we're comparing to a low to now. So who is benefiting from all this? But before we go into who's benefiting is, as I mentioned before, mortgage rates are going bonkers. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Why? Because the 10-year was at 3.8. Then it went up. Then it went down. Now it's back up today. I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy. I think we're just waiting for the Fed to pivot. And remember, a video I shot months and months ago was the 5 pivot, but the pivot we're waiting for now is you're going to stop raising rates. That will signal confidence to the market that our work is done of raising, but then the rates will sit there, and while they're sitting there, that is damage being done. Guys, got to remember, if the rates sit here, that's just painful. Just think about the Federal Reserve, the government. They've got all this debt out there they have to pay interest on. That is skyrocketing. It's crazy. Just go look up the numbers on that. It's in the $1.5 trillion. It's crazy how much we're going to spend on interest. But who's winning is home builders. Home builders literally cannot keep up with the supply. This is a recent article because there's just a lot of people are going there. Why do you think people are going to home builders? Why do you think? Well, let's talk about that. Why would you? Number one, you get a brand new house. Number two, depending if you go in there and customize things, you can have the flooring, the paint, the baseboards, the tile, the appliance packages, all this stuff. You can have what you want. But the big thing is the builders, because if you're a seller, for example, in San Diego, you're winning. You get your cake and eat it too. You're winning right now. You're not worried about having to buy down the rates or this is not buyers. The buyers are here. I'm not saying in every category. If you're selling a $10 million house, there's not as many buyers if you're selling $1 million house. But the point is if you're a seller, you don't have to offer the 3-2-1 buy down, the 2-1 buy down, the 1-1 buy down. So what builders are doing is not only are they having a lot of people come because they have supply, they also will buy down your rate. They'll do a 3-2-1. So if the rate starts at 7, your rate starts at 4, 5, 6, 7. It gives you that long runway to go ahead and wait until rates come down so then you can refinance. So builders are winning, but also they're not winning everywhere. In this recent article, they talked about how they cannot buy the land fast enough. They can only do minimal transactions because think about it. When builders before, they like to buy a bunch of land, get it entitled, but most of the time those builders getting that land are getting it with debt. So if that debt to get the land used to be 4%, I'm just picking a number, now it's 10%. The carrying cost is insane. insane. So it's not making sense, you know, with what people want for the land and then what they're going to pay and what the debt. So they're just doing less deals, less transaction. That means less homes being built because of supply costs, labor costs, trying to find labor, the cost of rates. It's hidden forever. But don't feel bad for the builders right now because they're winning. They're making money. They're crushing it. But remember, they're very cyclical. So if you have known any builders, ask them about how 08 was. It wasn't really a great time for them. So I'm glad they're doing well. I'm glad they're winning. I'm glad people can buy homes and get in there and pay down that rate and get in, lock into a good rate, good payment until they have an opportunity to refinance. But guess how many owners, how many residential rental properties do you think there are in the US? 5 million, 8 million, 30 million, 20 million? Well, if you guess 15 million, that is the answer. I don't know if that's right or not. That's just what I read. So there's 15 million rental properties in the US. And how many do you think percentage-wise are owned by the big Wall Street buyers, the big funds, right? How many do you think are owned? 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%? Well, if you guessed 4%, then you're right again. So 15 million rental properties, 4% are owned by large institutional players. Why is that important to know? Because a lot of people think that number is way different. It's 20, 30, 40, 50. Yes, they are buying, but it's really not much of the market. It's always a good hook or a good title, an article to scare everybody that these guys are buying every home. That's not true. They don't buy every home. They don't buy every market. And right now they're actually a little gun shy, but they will come back in the market, but they're always buying because they always have money. The other problem right now is that we're seeing is we've got high rates, affordability issues. We've got no inventory. People have jobs, right? You're still spending money, even though consumer is slowing, but home prices are starting to go back up. There's a recent article, 60% of home markets have started to rebound and come back up. Remember, if we go backwards, 2022 Q4, best time to buy. Coming into 2023, mortgage rates plummet. It goes from a buyer's market to a stable market. That's why I said it's kind of like buyers and sellers were both kind of winning still. And then it went into now back to a seller's market, which is not really helping. I know you that want to buy, but you got to know the data. You got to know the facts that if rates come down and we don't get that inventory, even if we do, it has to pick up a lot, because think about it. We're going to have a lot of buyers. They're saying 5 million buyers are sitting on the sideline. I don't know, but all I know, if rates were to drop to 5.75 today on a 30-year conventional rate, I can tell you how many buyers are going to be calling me to get pre-approved and every other lender out there and calling every agent out there. There is going to be a lot. We're not there yet, but the problem is there's not going to be a lot of inventory. And so there's some trouble right there for the housing market that if rates come down and there's not that inventory, it's a big problem. Speaking of consumer spending back, and why does that matter with housing? Because it does. Because if consumers pull back and we hit some type of slowdown and recession, that would mean the Fed would pivot, interest rates come down, and that helps you get your refinance done or buy your house. But in lower interest rates, it's just going to help overall the economy, housing, all that, especially commercial. We need rates that are very high and they're just staying up here because obviously we have a Fed that's very hawkish, not dovish, and giving mixed signals to the market. But I've recently talked to I always talk to business owners, and I encourage you, if you're out and about, talk to business owners, talk to bartenders, talk to servers, talk to the local small store. If somebody, a client, they're in their industry, ask them how things are going as this slowdown, because we are starting to see consumers pull back. Some industries are seeing 20%, some are seeing 5%, some are seeing 10%. Obviously, if you're in the real estate game, your business could be down 50, 60, 70, 80%. No joke, right? So we've seen the pullback. But one of the things that was interesting is if this guy, Lacey Hunt, if you never heard of him, Dr. Lacey Hunt, look him up on YouTube, a lot of great videos. Wealthion just interviewed him. And one of the things that I took away from the interview, it's a lot of data he goes through, a lot of stuff that you might get lost, but he's an economist, manages a fund, used to give data to the Federal Reserve, been in the game for 50 years. People have tons of respect. A lot of wealthy people, very smart people look to this guy for guidance or information for data. But what he mentions, one thing that's interesting is they asked him, do you think a recession is coming? Do you think a slowdown is coming? He said it's already happening. He's looking at the data where the Treasury, they get money. So the Treasury, where you pay your taxes, that's where you get money, right? So the Treasury part where we write that check to US Treasury, here's your tax bill. Well, they said the GDI, gross domestic income, is falling. So they're more worried about corporate earnings falling. So what they've noticed is that in June, the amount of taxes paid in by corporations and everybody is way down from prior in 2023 and obviously years prior. So that is indicators that we don't all talk about, but it's one thing that caught my eye, that caught my ear about going, wow, and I looked into it. So that data is coming out showing corporations are paying less taxes. That means they have less revenue. So if there is a recession, if there is a slowdown, I know this Feds came out and said there is not one. He believes there would be some type of slowdown, recession. If there is one, is that good or bad for housing? Usually in this kind of market, it will be good for housing because it will bring rates down. It should bring a little bit more inventory and help affordability, but inventory is probably still going to be trapped because of the low rates, the payments. So that's always going to be a problem right now. You know, builders think they're going to have this article I was reading is going to have a run for the next decade. Will that happen? Who knows? We could have a nasty recession that causes a lot of people to lose their jobs. A lot of people have to sell their houses, and you could have a market crash with stocks. You could have it with housing. We just don't know, right? If we all knew what was going to happen, we would just write a book and it would say, this is what's going to happen. And that's what I would name my jet and my boat and my yacht and everything else, right? But we don't know. So what we do is we look at data, we give that information back to you. But based on the data, if recession hits, rates go down, consumers spend less, that's okay. Remember, 157 million people are almost employed. So if 2, 3, 4, 5 million jobs get lost, yes, that hurts. But remember, a lot of people are working right now and making money and able to pay their bills. And their biggest bill, if it is a mortgage, if you're rent, it's going up. But your biggest mortgage, if that's what you got and you locked in, you're sitting A-okay, you're sitting pretty. So you're in a very good position. And consumers overall are doing much better than I thought by just looking at data and looking at charts. And when you look back at like a place like '08 and how bad the consumer is doing with debt and all this stuff, when you look at the charts, you realize you're like, wow, consumers are in a better position. Even with all the spending and the credit card debt and all that, they're in a much better position because we made better loans, have more savings. I think they learned from the last crisis, and you can just see it in the data. And the data, the numbers, my friends, they don't lie. It doesn't mean things can't change. But right now, the consumer is looking better than last time we had a great recession, the great crash, which we keep looking at and we keep pondering on because we're all scarred from it. If you're in this business or not, you knew somebody that lost a home, lost a business, lost their credit, lost everything. It was common. So anyways, thanks for watching. Hey, share this. I love your feedback. Love to hear from you. Anything else you'd love me to talk about. But otherwise, have a great week. And next week, I won't give it away, but I will not be in my office and I will not be filming in my office, but I can promise you I will be filming on a small island, very tropical. And I look forward to giving you the brief from a very cool remote location. But otherwise, have a great week. Hope you guys are all still enjoying the summer. Talk to you guys soon.